Woo! Okay. Second time. Round two. Probably round five if I'm being honest, because these audio files keep getting corrupted. So if I sound dismayed, now you know why. Things might be a little less authentic, but they might be a little smoother. This will be very funny 5 minutes from now when I stumble mumble over my words. Opening joke about how it's very egotistical to assume you would want an audio commentary track for one of my videos, but here we are. Let's get ready to not get sued by that one guy and let's start the video. Okay, so this F. Scott Fitzgerald quote, I included this late into the game because I was doing research about the crack up, and that's kind of the quote everyone knows and cites from the crack up, but then the diatribe it leads me on whether or not we're supposed to like Frank Castle. I don't know how much of this series, both in terms of the thing I'm making and the Netflix show itself, really grapple with that. And there he is. Shout out to Garth Ennis. One of his strengths as a writer is he is never once in his life been afraid to write an ultra bastard and let you know unabashedly you are not supposed to like this man. I think the Deadpool movies have just really poisoned my brain on adaptations that are afraid to let you live in that space. My favorite Deadpool panel is "It's okay, Al. Just take a big step forward," or it's "Leap of Faith." It's been a while since I read the Joe Kelly run. And then Blind Al takes a step and she falls because there's no stairs there because Wade Wilson's terrible, and the movies don't really let you live there because if you don't like him, we can't get your money. Give us more money. So I don't know how much of I don't know how much will be about that meaningfully, as opposed to I knew I was going to talk about the crack up, and if I open with a quote from that, it seems like I know what I'm doing. Also, real quick, if you are someone who wants to make analytical content, right, you really want to get into the weeds, always look for books or songs or shows that they are watching in the piece of media you're watching, because if you look to that, and it's a great tool for understanding what the story is trying to tell you. It's a great tool to win points with an audience. It really makes you seem like you know what you're talking about. But also the reason, hey, that's Mr. A. Sorry, I just want to talk about Mr. A real quick. We'll get back to the diatribe. I'm incapable of full thoughts, but Mr. A is the most angry. Again, speaking about unlikable protagonists, but Mr. A is the most angry Steve Ditko has ever been because he was unperturbed by publishers and that hippie Stan Lee. But yeah, back to including works in fiction. It's a trick everyone does because I believe the quote is good writers borrow, great writers steal. We all wear our influences on our sleeves. There's a bit in Suicide Squad where King Shark is reading a book I don't remember the title of, but essentially it's all about rejecting faith as an institution. Reject the church. Faith is a personal journey that can be fulfilled with people, and that is highlighting Bloodsport. I think it's Bloodsport. Idris Elba. It's highlighting his entire character arc. So when you can point stuff, it's a great tool to let an audience know what you're trying to do. Sorry, that was a burp. That was another one. These will be edited out. These will be edited out. It's fine. But yeah, it's a great tool, and everyone does it. So look for it. Deepen your understanding of works. And speaking of wearing influences on your sleeve, I have never been someone to hide away from them. You can kind of notice eras of my channel, air quote, and this is probably bad to to do things like this, but it's just how I want to make things. Yeah, I didn't know the term Shylock before because he said a word and I was like, what's that word? I had to replay that with subtitles on. I was like, what's a Shylock? That feels not good. Context clues tell me that's not good. And so, yeah, wearing influences on your sleeves. The the Ice Climbers video I made. I want to talk about that beat. We'll get back to that beat. But the Ice Climbers video I did was very inspired by Oh, I want to talk about those bullets. I don't know which path to go down. I'm gonna finish this thought and then hopefully I can get back to the B and the bullets. B will lead. B is for bullets, and that should be able to connect to me. Maybe I should do the thing where I pause this video to talk about things. But that right there, okay. Influences. The Ice Climbers video is very inspired by Sequelettes and Aaron Hansen. I like those videos. I wish there was more of them. I understand why Aaron doesn't make more. The Lore Olympus video is so clearly inspired by Brian David Gilbert. I'm wearing a suit. The the thumbnail has the Polygon logo. It closes with Polygon. And this video in the series, I'm really trying to channel. It's not as good as I wanted it to be. Movies with Mikey. So that leads into the bullet. But the thing the thing Mikey does is when you I hope people like that gag. You have to be sort of in my age bracket and into the Skewiverse to get it, but I think it works. Because at the very least, it's the 1, 2, 3 setup of zooming into a face, but then I trick it. You don't zoom into the face you thought it was. Ha 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 ha. God is a woman. But yeah, when you cut to footage, like, right, because it's a video, it's audio over footage, right? When you cut to just text over a thing, it's because you really want the audience to stay with those words, really focus on that and nothing else, so you'll have text play over it. And so the bullets, right? That trick is something that I've aped from Movies with Mikey, because that's what I want this series to feel like. And so the bullets raining, that was a late decision, and I really feel like it adds something, because I was going for my favorite cover from Secret Six, where, oh, this motherfucker. We're going to talk about getting political in comics in a second, but it's raining bullets in the Secret Six cover because the bullets are raining, right? It's meant to be rain because rain is a naturally occurring phenomenon. To Deadshot, bullets are as natural as the rain. This is the world he operates in, and I love that cover, so I was trying to harken back to it. And bullets are for B, and the thing I wanted to talk about B is because while I am influenced by Movies with Mikey, that's what I want this to feel like, it's also important to always remember to have your own distinct voice. And a thing that annoys me is when the audio does not match, when the visuals do not match the audio that's being presented. I watched a video about Dennis from It's Always Sunny, and he'd bring up examples of Dennis doing things, and the visuals wouldn't match it, and it just annoys my brain. And I'm not saying you're bad for doing that. It's just I'd get annoyed if that's the thing I made, and that's the voice, that's the cell I have for different types of audio. So this footage right here, it's flipped actually, because when you flip footage or you shrink it, minimize it, have a thing over it, it's to avoid copyright claims. But all that stuff, right? Those JoJo and What Culture, DuckTales. It's all because that's the vibe I'm trying to create over these split seconds of words I'm saying. I feel make it different, and I don't know if you need that if you're inspired by. No one's fucking inspired by me, Jesus. It's not a thing I think you need, but it's a thing I think really adds something and a style where someone can watch one of my videos and be like, oh, well, this feels like something Devin made, on top of those influences that I want you to feel. And hopefully that all works. Oh, fucking Madani. Yeah, we paused on McCullen and talking about politics. There's going to be a running feature of this series of take a shot every time Madani says something I don't want to unpack, because it has the potential to get too personal and, air quotes, too political. And I am not someone who is averse to being political or saying that art shouldn't have political messages. That's stupid. Real quick, all art is political, and that is not to say all art has political messaging, right? Highlander, for example, my favorite movie. Not a political message there. Highlander is inherently political because art is inherently political, because art because no, because politics create laws, and laws are the rules for a society, that thing we all have to live in. So, because we all have to abide by laws, that have a fundamental, irrevocable, I want to talk about that real quick, but just an irrevocable playing into your life experience, and life experience is where fucking art comes from. So all art is inherently political. Okay, so that right there of Scary Nuance over Ellie letting, I think it's Jesse, it's been a while since I put Last of Us 2, but letting Jesse live, that was an accident, but I feel like that really works because playing the line, even shitty people are people, over footage of Last of Us, I really wanted that to, I don't know, I thought that, I went back and forth about it because that's the point of Last of Us, right? Even in Last of Us 1, you're always playing as a shitty person. Joel damns the world on a very selfish call. And I do feel like a lot of the problems, and of course with the caveat of there is always legitimate criticism to be found, but I feel like a lot of what people complained about in Last of Us 2 is like, this SJW's ruining my video games. So like, there's another Garth Ennis panel, take a shot. That's a thing I said in the last track that doesn't make sense now, but I said I didn't want every time I cut to a comic, a Punisher comic, for it to be Garth Ennis. That's why in the opening, when I'm talking about Punisher being unlikable, I very clearly wanted it to be The Circle, which is not a Garth Ennis work, and The Circle is kind of political because it's about how prison as it exists it doesn't exist to rehabilitate, it exists to punish, and that's maybe a bad thing. See, I'm not averse to becoming political. I just know that there's a subset of people who, when you do a superhero thing, will be upset when you talk about the politics. This is why I have this entire little straw man who doesn't exist in the comment section, because I've talked about Falcon and the Winter Soldier on the internet before, and it's just the willful levels of obtuseness in not wanting to acknowledge what that show was about left a very bad taste in my mouth. So, Punisher, his logo has become weird and politicized. Culture war nonsense now, culture war nonsense then, culture war nonsense forever. That's just the world that we all encompass. Oh, okay, this. Getting away from scary politics. But, so, it's held on Josh Bernthal's face for a second, because I wanted you to live in that moment, that, because the line is, how do you move forward when your world crumbles, and that look on his face is really selling it. I say what you want about this show, Josh Bernthal is nowhere near a problem. And then I've been asked, like, would I want him to show up in the MCU proper, and that's a misnomer, because I never needed the Netflix stuff to, air quotes, show up proper, because it's always, whether or not it's canon, the important part is whether or not it made an emotional connection with you, and I enjoy the vast majority of the Netflix stuff. Sorry, had a burp. Sorry, burp again. So, like, do I want Josh Bernthal to show up in the MCU? Kind of, sort of, maybe they do it right. And doing it right is a weird thing, because, like, the first Punisher movie, the one with Ivan Drago, people don't like it. I like it more than everyone else, but the two complaints they have is there's no skull on the shirt, kind of dumb complaint, and the violence is PG, kind of dumb complaint. So at the very least, the second kind of dumb complaint would come back if you had him show up in a MCU proper thing. My complaint would more so be with tone. I got a whole episode of my podcast, the one we do about Marvel TV. Check that out if you want my feelings on that in full. But I do think that if you wanted to reintroduce Punisher into the MCU, right now with the status quo we have, that man, that right there, that butt, that's why. That is... You will watch other Punisher videos possibly more steeped in the lore, possibly more better informed. None of them are gonna have an allusion to Megan Thee Stallion's sweet, sweet ass. Jesus Christ, that's why you come to my channel, baby. But the status quo we have with Spider-Man right now, where there's the public enemy thing, right? We're finally doing the public doesn't like Spider-Man. If you know, Punisher's introduction in the comics was the Jackal convinced Frank Castle to try and murder Spider-Man. And so if Spider-Man is public enemy number one, I'm calling it. That's the perfect way to reintroduce Punisher. If you ever want to do it, it's right there. Take it. Steal my idea. Marvel, you guys are smarter than I am. Tom Waltz. Oh, that was wrestling. Other you might not get other wrestling things from me for the Punisher, but Tom Waltz, man, check him out if you haven't. I didn't until this show. We all have a place where we find out about an artist, but Tom Waltz. Someone said if the Cookie Monster made folk music and his biggest inspiration was Rage Against the Machine, yeah, his music is gruff and uncomfortable in a specific way because all of his music is about how the interlocking systems of power that govern our lives are broken and, for the most part, exist to, I don't want to say disillusion you, but to take advantage of you and remove you from the means of production and power. See, I am not averse to getting political at all. Follow me on Twitter. That oh boy, I didn't think that was going to line up as well. Again, that's part of the like crazy way in which I want footage to match over the audio. I didn't think the lip sync would match up as well as it did. I just kind of wanted a reference for people who would know. And okay, we're at the end. This is another thing I really want to talk about. On a script level, I was trying to do sort of a character arc thing where in the opening of the video, because in the opening of the episode, we're dealing with the Punisher, and when he burns the skull, we're dealing with Frank Castle. So I wanted to make a distinction there that the show is doing, but I'm doing in the video on a script level, because if you'll notice throughout the body of this video, I say Frank Castle, and at the end, once he's come back, once he's found people to punish, he's the Punisher. So I call him the Punisher. And thanks for listening, everyone. If you like these, I can do more because making these videos takes more time than I thought. And if you didn't, I'll still probably keep doing them because they're fun for me. Sign off at the end.